Hello, and welcome to Husky Talk. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I would like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon Partners, they are one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. President Sean Rabinowitz is a proud supporter of Husky Talk. He needs us now more than ever. His son Ben has leukemia. We are doing bone marrow drives to try to find a match. You could be the one to save his life. We'll put the website in the link. You can have a testing kit sent to your house and get tested if you're under 40 and send it in. We got to get Ben that bone marrow transplant to get him the treatment. And our next sponsor you will hear from shortly. All right, and we are back on my guest today. I am very, very lucky to have the man himself. I grew up watching playing basketball and was part of Uconn's first national championship in 1999. He is now an associate director of athletics and executive director of the National Sea Club. He is none other than Kevin Freeman. Kevin, welcome to Husky Talk.
What's going on, Steve? Pleasure to be on Husky Talk today, man. I'm glad we finally got to connect and get on this podcast, man. Excited to connect with you, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too, man. I tell you what, I asked about you, and not one person had a negative thing to say about you. Everyone loves you. Everyone says you're just this great guy. And because I get nervous around semi-famous people, so I was a little nervous coming in. So that kind of loosened me up. So the first thing I wanted to ask you about before getting started, I I had no idea about the Sea Club, and I know that's your project. That's what you have been doing. Can you talk to me about the Sea Club and becoming a member? People that join and how that works.
Yeah, so you're part of an elite group. You don't even know, man.
I am.
It is, man. It's former student athletes. We're trying to get them back and connected with the Sea Club, right? So our
Okay.
job is to provide internship, mentorship, and career opportunities for our student athletes. And
Oh,
what better way to do that, right? Is to connect the former alum, with the current student athlete. So, that's the gist of the Sea Club. But we're expanding, man. It's been about 5 years. John Fodor, who's our, he's been the seed behind this thing and pushing for student development and really gravitating toward our former student athletes and getting them wrapped back into this culture. Like, you're part of a special group, and we want to be. When we talk about Huskies for Life, it's beyond just your 4 years here, and we're trying to create that environment, man. And this is culture, but it's to put it in layman's terms. It's 1 year. You have to letter in a varsity sport to be a C Club member, and then after
shot.
that, then after that's for life. You see the sign behind me, man. We're trying to push this thing and really get it going. And you can log on and sign in on UConnHuskies.com, UConnHuskies.com.
Okay.
You pull down the National Sea Club, little quick registration, and you're right in, man. And then you're part of this group. But
So
you're part of it. You created it, man. You're part of this dynasty.
for 5 years, I've been in the dark about this thing. Jeez,
You
my
know
God.
what? It's our fault. We're getting it out there, and it's starting to thrive, and there's legs behind it. But getting on this
Yes.
show and speaking about it, and getting out in front of different folks, it's been pretty good for us. And
Yeah.
we've had some of our student athletes get job opportunities from Bank of America to UBS, all different types of networking, and we're trying to build this thing strong. So you have something proud to be about. being a former student athlete in a letter way.
So, okay. So the C Club that's for alumni engagement with the current student athletes, trying to help place them with jobs and careers and mentorship, stuff like that.
You got it. You could be the CEO the way you just sold it. You could be the CEO.
I could be the CEO. Kevin, I don't think I could be a CEO of a lemonade stand, but I appreciate you saying that.
Hey, you know what? You can do anything. You're a Husky.
That's true. That's true.
Anything,
That's
right?
true. Yes.
I'm
Okay.
sure we all had a sip of a drink at Tez that steered us the wrong direction. So
Yeah.
we can all we can all bounce back and do things, huh?
Yeah, one or two drinks at that. That's funny. Okay. So I didn't know for sure. Where did you grow up initially? Where are you from?
So I'm from Springfield, Mass, home of the Basketball Hall of Fame. The 413 is what we call it.
Yes.
I grew up in Springfield, Mass, and it's funny. It's 45 minutes down the road, and my mom, she worked at the post office, for over 30 years, and she's still there in Hartford. So there was a semicircle connection between Uconn and Springfield that brought me to become a Husky.
Oh, okay. And did you play basketball early on as like a youth, like 6, 7, 8 years old? Was there always a basketball in your hand?
Yeah, basketball for me, it's weird, and you got these conversations, plan A, plan B. It was plan A, plan A, plan A, plan A.
Everyone's,
yeah. It was like 4 years old. I knew I wanted to be a basketball player. I can remember going to the Basketball Hall of Fame, which at that time was over on the campus of Springfield College, and I was right around the corner there on Eastern Ave, and I was sneaking there, and I see these pictures of Dr. J with these huge froze.
You would sneak into the Basketball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I would sneak because they would leave the back door prop. The gym was connected over, the auxiliary gym was connected over to the left. And what happened was it was so cold that you couldn't shoot at night, outside in the winter. And if you snuck through this crack on the side door, you can get to the auxiliary gym before we get kicked out. So that connection to the auxiliary gym was connected to the actual Basketball Hall of Fame. And I would just kind of wander through there, and I would see cool pictures, man. Couldn't do that nowadays.
Amazing. No, they can't do that now. I think the statute of limitations passed too. So
I'm good now.
You're safe. You're safe. That's awesome. That is such a cool story. So you were going into the Basketball Hall of Fame and getting private tours on your own and shooting around. Yeah. That is so cool.
On my own too. I had no idea who was who and what was what. I just remember.
I know, right?
This picture of Dr. J with this huge fro. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I thought it was awesome, man.
So you played in your youth, and then I don't know how it works in math in Mass. Is it seventh and eighth grade basketball, and then freshman?
Yeah, it's pretty similar to it's kind of same nationally. I played at the Dunbar Community Center, which was around the corner from my house, by a gentleman named Big Will. I played there for many years, and that's kind of where I developed my competitive spirit. A young man named Travis Best, who was a little bit older than me, he went on to play at Georgia Tech and play in the NBA. He was my idol growing up, watching him. He's from Springfield, Mass, and he's the only McDonald's All-American in that area. So just grew up watching him and wanted to do everything he did. He was another guy I watched at 5 or 6 years old, 7 years old, dribble the basketball. And I said, man, it would be so cool to be like him. And he kind of started the dream for me in that area. Yeah. Left there, went on to play high school basketball in Paterson, New Jersey. And that's where I think folks get the mix up. Am I from Springfield, Mass, or am I from New Jersey? If you look at the bio. Left, went to go stay with my uncle and my family out in that direction, to play against a better competition.
Because that probably gave you a better chance to get recruited, better AAU teams, right?
Yeah, it gave you it's just and no knock on Springfield. I love it. It was just an opportunity to play against some of at that time, quote unquote, New York was the best players, in the country. So that was a staple. Ron Artest, those guys I later battled at St. John's.
Yes.
I was playing against those guys since 8th or 9th grade in that New Jersey area. So that helped me out a lot. From a recruiting standpoint, I was pretty much getting recruited by the same teams. It was just a level of competition. Getting ready for college. And you know how that is in football, probably the same way. You want to play against better competition because that next step in as a Division I athlete is a major step.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Right. And I know that like now AAU is big business, and AAU is where a lot of kids get recruited mostly.
Yeah.
Were you partaking in AAU as well?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough. Our AAU team was one of the best AAU teams in the country. If you look online, it probably says the best one ever. I played with
Ooh,
Tim Thomas. Tim Thomas was my high school teammate. I played with Kobe Bryant, Edmund Saunders, who I ended up going to school with on the 99 team. We were all on that same AAU team. We won multiple national championships. But that right there for me, it allowed me to play with some really amazing players and against some amazing players and
yeah.
kind of see where you're at, right? Kind of see, am I good enough nationally? Should I be getting recruited by Kentucky, or should I be getting recruited by a smaller school in Connecticut? So it allowed me to gauge my skills and see where I was at nationally.
So would you say there's a big difference between your high school team and your AAU team as far as competition and everything?
Yeah. So going back, I'm going. I'm VHS days. I'm the
Me
1979.
too. I was the same way.
So
Yeah.
it's, and I have kids now that are in the AAU world, and then
Yes.
going back into my career of coaching for 11 years and
Yes.
recruiting. At AAU, when I played, your high school team was your main team, and you went to AAU and you
Correct.
played against national talent. And you weren't solely recruited off AAU back then.
Right.
Now, and then in the past 20 years, probably I would say the past 15 years, your AAU team is the most important team, and then your high school team is secondary. So it's this huge influx of talent to the AAU landscape, and that's where us Division One coaches or former Division One coaches used to go. Go to look at the talent.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I
Yeah.
heard. The AAU is huge.
Is football similar? Because I don't know when it
No,
comes to that. No.
no. Football doesn't have like all-star club teams. They do
Yeah.
have like 7-on-7 tournaments that are
Yeah, I've
pretty
seen
big
that.
over the summer. But football, it's really more dependent on the one-day camps, the one-day recruiting camps that each school has. They kind of run them like a combine. They put
Yeah.
you through all the testing, and then you do one-on-ones, and that's how they evaluate you. And it's funny because I coached at Holy Cross for 10 years,
Yeah, I've seen that.
and like the majority of the kids that end up getting offered, you offer them out of camp. If they
Wow.
perform well at camp and
Yeah.
they're highly rated, they get offered out of camp. So that's why like a lot of offers go out so early now. They're earlier and earlier. But AAU, like I heard from the volleyball girls, that the club team was primarily how they got recruited,
Yeah.
because the coaches would all come and watch, and like they didn't send as much film out. Like you were talking about VHS. I was the same way. God, my father bought one of those machines where you could dub the VHS tape. You put the game film in and the blank tape, and we were dubbing hundreds of films and just sending them out. Like,
Yeah.
you want to go to the University of Wyoming? I'm like, yeah, send it out there. Let's go. I don't care. We'll
So
figure it out.
let me spin one back at you. So when you were being recruited, did you know what level you are? Like, so you go to these camps, right? I know I'm a ACC. I know what level player I'm at, or do you know, or is it just like, okay, it's just I know I want to play football. This is the camp I got to go to. I don't know if I'm even good enough to go to the next level, but I'm
Yeah.
going to this camp. Do you know?
Well, I came in with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because basically my group of friends would always break my balls about it. I would say I'm gonna play D1. I'm gonna play Division 1, and they're like, "You're not playing Division 1. Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah.
So I worked really hard. My dream was to go to Syracuse. I wanted to go to Syracuse big time. And I went to the Syracuse camp. I went to the Buffalo camp. I went to Penn State's camp, and I did well. And they evaluated me. I was kind of on the fringe of FBS, FCS.
Okay.
Syracuse had wanted me to go to prep school or junior college, and then they would have taken me. But I had several offers from FCS schools at the time: UNH, Northeastern, Maine, UMass, those type of schools. In Uconn, obviously, the only 1A offers I had Rutgers and I had Buffalo. And Rutgers that year got beat by Syracuse 70 to like 10. So I wrote them off. and Buffalo. I really liked Buffalo.
Yeah.
The head coach was probably the head coach reminded me of Mr. Rogers. He was just the nicest guy in the world. We started the camp off by playing the name game. I thought that was a little weird. But I like the campus and I like Buffalo and I really liked UMass. It was the year UMass won the national title, but we beat them twice. And it was funny because I went to both games, recruited. But I knew I wanted to play Division I football. I committed to UConn when they offered me early, actually, which was rare back then. They offered over the summer, and I committed without even visiting. I just
So give me the time period. Were you one of the guys you committed as soon as the phone call, or did you give
no, I didn't
think
commit.
about it?
I didn't commit as soon as the phone call.
Way.
No, I remember because my family, we went on vacation to Maine and we got back. This is in like late July. And there was a letter from UConn saying, we want to offer you a full scholarship. And it was from Skip Holtz. And my father's, he's an attorney. So of course he questions everything. And he questioned the whole, we want to offer, like, what does that mean? We want to, are you or not? So I remember he called just to get clarification, and he's like, "Yeah, we're offering him, and we want him." So I obviously wanted Syracuse, and I performed well at the camp, but it was Kevin. I run slower than whale shit. I'm slow. I have bad footwork. I'm not a great athlete, and they offered two linemen on the spot who ran probably 5 flat and 5'1" 40s. I ran a solid 5'4".
You were moving.
Yeah, I was moving. That's right. I was moving.
You were moving.
I was moving. Yeah. You could have power walked faster than my 40 time at Syracuse.
Hey, Khalid El-Amin probably has a similar time to you. So
he was slow too.
That makes you feel better.
That does make me feel better.
His was a choice. He wasn't going to give you the full sprint. He's going to save it. He was going to save his energy to shoot threes, which I love him for. That's
when he needed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I waited. I waited just to see, because Syracuse had said, send in your first 3 games of your senior year. We'll base it off of that. And I sent the first 3 games in, and they would send me letters, but I stopped really getting seriously recruited. So in December, I committed to UConn. Now, I committed at the worst possible time because Skip had just left. So, just being dumb and making stupid decisions. When a coach leaves, that's usually not the best time to commit to a college. But I was thinking, I remember I called, or I had my parents call, and I asked, well, is the rest of the staff staying? And of course they're all going to get fired, but they said, no, we're still here. So I said, okay, I commit. Because I love the O-line coach. His name was Dave DeGuglielmo, Coach Googs. He ended up going to the NFL. He was with the Patriots and the Giants for years. So I committed, and then Randy came in, and it was funny because Randy met with I can't even believe he did this. Like, he would go into kids that had already been committed, and he would go to their house, and he would basically tell them, listen, if you come here, I have to honor your offer, but you will be on scout team for 4 years and you will never play. I'm just telling you that now up front. So the kids would decommit and go somewhere else. I just thought it was hilarious that he would do it. Like, they're thinking, man, the head coach is coming to see us. Yeah. He comes in, he sits down, and he's like, that's not going to happen. But yeah, that's how I had when they first offered me, I didn't even know they had a football team, first of all. I really didn't. And and I committed without even visiting. So that was pretty funny. But So you played AAU, and you must have been recruited heavily. I'm surprised like Rutgers would allow an in-state kid to
Yeah,
leave like that. That surprises me.
yeah. They did a hell of a job recruiting us at
They
that
did.
that
Okay.
year. Yeah, New Jersey was the number one state as far as high school basketball players in the country, the number one ranked state. So we had about 12 high major Division One top 100 kids. So um, they did a great job. They did a phenomenal job. We were up there every weekend. It just didn't work out the way things pieced.
Yeah.
And if you know who the coach of Seton Hall now, Shaheem Holloway, it was going to end up being a package deal with myself, Shaheen Holloway, and Tim Thomas. We're all
Oh
going to go to
wow.
the same school. We had talked about it, and we thought it was going to be Rutgers. Shaheen kind of pulled the first card and went to Seton Hall, so that kind of fell apart at that time. And then Tim and I were left to kind of figure out where we wanted to go. And he ended up committing to Villanova first, and I spent back
Genova.
toward UConn.
Right.
Yeah, so I spent back toward UConn. But Rutgers did an awesome job, man. And there's an article that
Yeah.
came out a couple of years ago, like kind of the downfall of Rutgers. Rutgers before Pico got there was doing an awesome job, a UConn guy. Um, the article was based on my class because they struck out on everybody in that class, and there
Yeah.
was a culmination of events as far as basketball, how the school went a little bit downhill, but they picked back up in recent years with the UConn guy.
Who else? Like, what other schools were you considering? Would you say seriously?
If Seton Hall was, George Blaney was there, that was a serious one, another jersey. But probably the school was UMass, and it was a big deal because at that time, 1 and 2 in the country were it was
Marcus
UMass and
Camby.
UConn. Yeah, and the
Yeah.
guy they were going back and forth, right? So that was the school. Calipari was the guy, and
Yeah.
a quick story: Calipari. Nobody knew who Kevin Freeman was at all. And I ended up going to a camp that was funded through a community center. I got sent to UMass basketball camp in the ninth grade. Not on the sneaker team, no clue of AAU, anything. And I got pulled from camp by Calipari and Bruiser Flint. And he said, "Hey, we want to work with you. Come tonight and play with our players." I was in ninth grade, going to 10th grade. And from that
Oh,
point on,
he was
he,
breaking the rules back then.
yeah, he
I'm sorry, I had to say that.
yeah, statute of limitations. But he pulled me out of camp. He had me work out with the guys at night. And he was honestly the one that discovered me, Coach Calipari.
Yeah.
And so my connection to UMass, and then my high school coach was best friends with the assistant. It just ended up being so organic. And then they took some other players first, which cut them out of my recruitment for myself. And I was going to be late with my decision. I thought the best thing for myself and my family was to commit late. So
Yeah.
it kind of pushed UMass out, but it would have been UMass, and then UCLA probably was a distant third at the time because of my relationship with Baron Davis, playing with him on the USA team. We became really close, and he was a year before me. And Baron had told the coach at the time at UCLA, the coach who was at Rhode Island, he told him if I commit to UCLA that he would commit. So all of a sudden I'm getting these calls from UCLA every week, and they want to fly me out. And Coach Calhoun comes in the back door, gets me up to UConn a week before I go to UCLA, and the rest is history.
And you committed on your official?
Yes, I was an assistant coach's dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I committed right at the last
That's
dinner on a Sunday at Coach
perfect.
Calhoun's house. So it was.
Oh,
Cool.
that's perfect.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. They did a great job. And then the next week, I'll never forget adding Syracuse to the story. I had this Syracuse hat, whatever. It matched my shirt. It was pretty cool, I thought. And so I come back like 2 weeks later, summer's getting ready to start, and I got a Syracuse hat on. I don't know. And I'm walking through the office, and the whole office, like their mouths are dropping.
They're looking at you.
And I'm thinking it's cool, matches my shirt. I got an orange shirt on. I'm cool. But I thank God one of the assistant coaches, David Lato, pulled me to the side before I got to that last door to speak to coach.
I love Lato.
Go back to my dorm and change.
Yeah.
Put some UConn on, and it worked out.
Coach Edsel was the same way. If he saw any other gear on you, it was burned. It was gone.
Yeah, right.
That's hilarious.
Coach
That's
absolutely. I tell you, and all we want is gear.
It is. It's about the swag. I mean, you got to have the swag.
That's it. Hopefully in this day and age, they get a bunch of stuff. and we got our
Yeah.
stuff too, but it's like you just want. And I don't think
Yeah.
people realize how much your family wants too. So they're taking the get that you're getting. So it's
Yeah. They all
right.
want stuff.
It
They all want
is, and
stuff.
they think it's every week you're getting it, but you're not. So when you give away that sweatshirt, back in our days, you were really giving away that sweatshirt for
Yeah. You get one of them.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
crazy. So your class, so you came in, was it 99 or 98?
I came in 96.
It was
And
okay. It was 96. That's what I
yeah.
was
So
thinking.
like it's just the 99 is the years that we graduated, and then
Right. That's what I was thinking.
But
Okay.
yeah, I came
So
in with Richard Hamilton and Jake
that was the
Bosco.
top class. Yes.
Yeah, we had about 8 guys. That was an awesome class, man, and we didn't know it because we were getting our ass kicked our freshman year.
Well,
Like
basketball's tough because the classes are smaller. It's not like football where you're bringing in 20 guys. You may get 4 or 5 guys. So he had 8 new guys, and when you have 8 freshmen, you're obviously depending on them to play.
Yeah.
So it's a huge, like, I mean, for me, I always tell the story at Uconn. For the first 2 weeks, I'm an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
I don't think I touched anyone. Like you could have put a cone out there and it would have done more than me. Like I was useless.
You're flying by.
Did you? Yeah, they were just running by me. I couldn't get a hand on anyone. Did you have a rough adjustment transition to playing at that level?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't have a rough adjustment because we
you were playing.
Yeah, we worked so hard in high school, man, and we're one of the top programs in the country. They really did a great job preparing us for that moment. Now, the problem that the adjustment I did have was is Coach Calhoun, right? So you got the adjustment.
Yes.
Coaching every play. So that was the big adjustment. Learning how to be competitive. I was competitive, but to see somebody compete to another level, I didn't realize that each possession was so important. I didn't realize how each practice, and not just about yourself and your conditioning, but the team building concept with him. That was the hardest piece. And then obviously he does such a great job, and I try to do it with my kids too now. Is he's going to go at you, he's going to attack you to get the most out of you, but he does an amazing job, which he's not noted for, in building you back up. Like he does such a great job.
That's what he does. I heard that from so many people.
Yeah, he does a great job with that, and so that was the adjustment for me. Will be coach. That was a huge adjustment. And obviously, when you start playing in the games, that's an adjustment, the size and the speed. But it wasn't as much as I thought it would be going from.
No, you were already playing with the best.
Yeah,
I mean,
it wasn't that much. So
guys getting drafted, and geez, I mean, the competition you were already with was top of the line.
And that's why I'll spin it too. Like I don't understand AAU now when these kids are reclassing 2 or 3 times, because eventually you're gonna see these folks, and you got to go mano a mano and figure it out. And the earlier you start doing that and facing that competition, the better player you're gonna be in any sport.
Well, since you brought it up, like I always ask this because of the transfer portal as well. Do you see, or in your opinion, would you think that kids of this generation don't have necessarily the same level of mental toughness that we had when we played? Because when we played, we developed, we worked harder to get on the court, to get on the field. Now it's more, if I'm not playing soon enough, I'm just going to transfer. I don't necessarily put the time and work in to develop to play.
Yeah, I'll go back to this one too. I blame it on parenting. And
100%.
Yeah, you got to instill that. We're not going to run away from our problems. We're going to try to walk through these problems. And then as a parent, you've got to know when it is too much and it is time to pull the plug. But it can't be, hey, I had a bad week. It's time for me to go somewhere else. A coach spoke to me this way. It's time for me to go somewhere else. I'm in competition with 2 other people. It's time for me to go somewhere else. I think that's the hardest piece. I do think they have it tougher in the sense that everything they see everything. So social media broadcasts what's happening over there instead of what's happening over here. So if you don't have tunnel vision of yourself and your character and focus on your goals, then you can be pulled in so many different directions, which allows you to have so many different escapes. And I don't blame it on the kids. I blame it on, how we parent, and
You're
then
right.
also, the social media aspect. We didn't have to deal with that. So I don't know how a young Kevin Freeman would have dealt with, seeing another player who's in my class maybe averaging 20 points at California, and I'm averaging 7, and I'm dealing with some good tough love coaching, and not knowing that 2 years from then I'm going to win a national championship. I probably wouldn't. I may not have gotten to that point because of social media. I might have said, "Hey, I need to go to California to average my 20 and figure out that piece, and let me get out of here in this cold place, a couple places to
Yes.
eat, that type of deal, and practice in 3 or 4 hours." But you
Yeah,
don't know that because of social media.
and social media is so toxic and negative towards players. Like, you would receive probably negative comments if you played a bad game.
Yeah.
And I just talked to Maria Conlon about this. They released a study that during March Madness, um, the negative social media posts went up like 75%, and the majority of them were targeted at the women. And I'm like, it just gets out of control with it. And like, there's no way to really police it. And I just feel it's just another stressor for these kids that they have to deal with. Someone going on their page and posting something negative about what they did, or you cost me money on a bet. That's the other one they get a lot. It just
Yeah.
blows my mind, all that stuff.
And
Um,
I'm not social media savvy, but there's a button I believe you
you
can
don't
click,
want to be. Don't
right?
don't be.
Isn't there a button you can click where you can't
Yes.
they can't comment, right?
Yeah, you can block them. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
just everybody. I would post and there would be no comments, and I would have
Yeah.
to go look.
Yes. Yeah, you could do that
I
too.
would literally have to go look for
You could do that
conversations
too.
about myself. And I just think
Yes.
that's, you got to figure out how to police it for yourself. Like when I played, I promise you this, I didn't look at one article when I played the entire year. Good, bad, win,
Smart.
championship, not. So and that's back in prehistoric days, but I didn't turn on the news. I just went through my season. So I didn't know where I was, if I was going to play professional basketball or not, or where I was going to be at, because I had no clue. I was
Yeah.
that locked in and didn't want those type of distractions mentally, because I knew I wasn't strong enough to handle some of the things that would be said about me.
Yeah. No, it's vicious and it's
Yeah.
personal, and that's what bothers me the most. So you guys really developed, and finally, I mean, you got better, and you put it all together, and it was the magical season 98, 99. What would you say stood out about that season, especially leading up to it? Was there anything like over the summer training that changed? Anything that brought the group closer together? That all the pieces were in place, that you knew it was time.
Yeah. I probably said this before. It was a North Carolina game, losing that Elite Eight. That to me was we. So what the
Yeah,
year before that we were in the NIT. We didn't make the tournament, and now we
I
get all the
remember.
way to the Elite Eight, and we got to play Carolina in Carolina with Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson, a bunch of guys, Jamal Williams. We got to play those guys in Carolina, and I mean, we gave it a valiant effort. We were right there with them. We weren't ready. We weren't old enough to handle that moment. We lose the game, right? And so I can remember Monquincio Hardnett, who was our roommate, Rip and I. It was his last game because he came in with us, but he was a JUCO player. So he's
Yeah,
just balling, man. We're crying for him. We're not crying about the loss. We're crying because we'll never play with him again. And I never forget, Coach Calhoun walks in and he sees us crying, and everybody's kind of leaning on Q, as we call Monquincio, and he says, "Q, we'll be back here next year for the Final Four, and I'm going to fly you in. We're going to fly you in." And it's from that moment on, that summer, that dedication, that confidence. We had unbelievable confidence from that point on that we could win a national championship. So I
yeah.
think that moment just truly changed every single thing about who we were as men, our thought process, and our confidence going into that '99 season.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly, because I remember before we started winning in football, our last game in 2001, we got smoked by Temple, who was horrible.
Yeah.
And I just remember in the locker room, I was thinking, I never want to feel this way again. And it kind of brought us together, and how we worked harder, and then we started to win some games. So 98, 99 happens, magical run. What would you say about, your role, your performance, and the group that you played with? Because that the group you came in with, incredible. You added some pieces. It was just an
Yeah,
amazing team.
yeah. I think that group was definitely special. It's just the mental toughness. That group was so mentally tough, man. It was like you going into St. John's to play at St. John's, and we laugh, and people don't believe the stories. Jay Z sitting at half court at the games before he's Jay Z, and just the Miami. We're playing Miami on ESPN, and Alex Rodriguez is there, and Jeter, and those like it
Yeah,
was those days. It was like UConn, and it was we're going to these gyms thinking, hey, there's no way we're losing, right? And it's on the
yeah.
road, so just the mental toughness of that group, that confidence, and then the off the court camaraderie. It was the
The
best. Like
culture you guys had.
yeah,
Yeah,
just hanging out and just being with each other, and like I said, going through those growing pains, and then now winning together. And then like I said, once again, I give Coach Calhoun and in the staff, like just now, when just being an assistant coach in the past years, the ability for them to know when to push us, know when to step back and say these guys they've taken too much. That's a talent, man. It's a hard trait for a coach to have, to say, let me just back up for a minute, or let me push them, let me back up. And they knew exactly what to do that year, and it all worked out perfect.
yeah. And you're 100% right. As a coach, you have to be able to read the room and read your
Yep.
players. And like you said, my roommate in college was Mike Woodward, who was a
Yeah,
walk-on.
yeah, my guy, Mike.
Woody would tell me Woody would tell me stories all the time about Calhoun, and
uh,
my friend Ed and I came out with Woody for senior night because his
okay.
mother couldn't make it from Cleveland, and
Uh,
Ed and I are running around Gamble Pavilion when Mike was announced, and Calhoun's just looking at us, and he goes to Mike, who the fuck are those guys and what are they doing? I had his jersey on and I was doing my Hulk Hogan flexes and everything, and Calhoun's like, get him out of here now.
yeah,
What are you
that's a
doing?
classic story. You should have. That's a
Yeah,
good one right there. And
yeah,
Mike was
well,
great, man.
yeah. I loved Mike. I loved Mike, and I loved it also because whenever you went on road trips, he had the bigger room in the Hilltop Apartments. So I'd go lay in his
Hang
bed
up.
and take naps. That's where I'd go for sure.
The perks,
So
huh?
after you graduated,
Yeah,
I didn't know you got into coaching.
yeah,
You also coached for, you said, 10 years.
yeah. I was so I played 10, and then I coached 11, I think it was. So between UConn and Penn State, I was on coaching staffs.
Oh,
Um,
that's right. You were with we're okay. That's
yeah,
right.
so I went. I
We're,
was with. I came in with Calhoun's last year, 2 years. Then I transitioned into Kevin Ollie,
you
and
were with
then
Ollie. Okay.
yep. And then I went to Penn State and came back with Coach Hurley for a year. So
Yeah.
I guess I've been part of all these coaching staffs for the last 20 25 years, which is
Well,
yeah.
it's because you're a good. It's because you're a good guy.
I,
Listen, when you're easy to work with, and you're known
hey,
to be a good recruiter.
can you
I mean,
can you tell my kids that?
how old are your kids? Just so I know. I know
So
because you go to the games all the time.
yeah, so my daughter recently just graduated. She's from UConn, right? She's UConn grad, which is pretty cool. Um,
Awesome.
she works in Springfield, Mass. She's 21 years old. My two boys who are 12 and 10.
Oh, you
So
got youngins. Okay.
yeah, they drive me crazy, but they're my little I call them my little best friends. Love hanging out with
Yeah.
them, love being with them, and they got a chance to
Now,
go to the game.
I talked with Maria Conlon. She also has a 12-year-old. Is it tough to be a parent and separate yourself while they're playing, and letting coaches coach? Because Maria says like she has to go stand as far away as possible because she wants to run out and strangle a coach sometimes.
Yeah, I think you have to as a parent. It is tough. It is tough because and my thing is, and I would hope a lot of other parents too that are former Division I athletes. It's just about playing hard, man, competing. It's not about the
Yeah,
talent piece. It's like you just want them to understand how hard it is. If that's the sport, if a sport that you want to play later on in life, how hard it is to make it. and then two, how competitive you have to be and driven on every play. So mine is never about, hey, you need to make that shot in the corner, or did you see the? It's more about, did you compete in that game? Did you give everything you had? And that's it. And you walk away. So yeah, I'll stand to the side. I stay completely far from my wife because she's a screamer. So I go stand over in the corner. She celebrates any play. It could be a foul. She's celebrating. So I'll stand to the
Yeah.
side and kind of watch and laugh and smile for them from there. And also for me, it's so cool to watch youth sports and when the game is so pure for them and they
Yeah.
really love it. It's not about, I think people going crazy about NIL money. It's not about any of that stuff. It's these kids
No.
all have dreams to one day to pursue their dreams to be in the NBA, NFL, baseball, whatever it is, and they're chasing those at those moments in that 30 minutes that they're playing or 20 minutes they're playing.
And it honestly, it's good that you have moved into this position because unfortunately with coaching, the work-life balance doesn't always work
Yeah,
out.
it's the yes.
And you don't want to be an absentee father. When I remember when I interviewed at Holy Cross, the head coach, he told me, just so you know, your wife is going to be a widow and your kids are going to be orphans. I don't have either, but that's what he would tell people when they would interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's great. I mean, winning a ring after that kind of turmoil, coming in with so many freshmen, developing together, getting better, and finally, it paid off. You reach the pinnacle. Coach Calhoun, you get it done. You win in '99. I was so happy because that was the year I came in, and I got to brag to everyone. I'm going to the national champion Uconn Huskies, but I am playing football.
That's good.
I was on a 2-18 high school basketball team, so we weren't very good. But
you were on your way. Not very.
I was on my way, and now I know how to join the C Club. I know the C
There
Club.
we go. We got to get
I will make
folks
sure.
in.
Yes, I will. I will definitely put the website in the show notes. So
Okay.
it's on UConnHuskies.com.
Yep.
And then you scroll down, and it
Go
has
down
the
the menu, C Club, and you'll see some alumni spotlights, highlights. You can click, you register, you'll get an email with confirmation that that we received it. And like I said, we're starting to get to the point where we're trying to post career opportunities for former alum. And then
Beautiful.
what stories do you want to talk about? Do you want us to highlight some of these different careers? So we're looking at different things and just trying to make a special place for our former alum, man. That's all
That's
it is.
perfect.
Let's be great in that space. And we have the alum to do it. We have the support
We
back to do
do.
it, and we have the administration that wants to do it. So let's just be great in that area.
We do. And now I didn't know exactly what it was. Now that I know, because I have so many people from Husky Talk who want to be involved and want to help in alumni engagement, I will make sure that they get involved with the C Club and get signed up. And because that's a
Send
huge
this way
piece of it.
and get your C Club jacket. We got to get all our folks wearing our leather jackets.
Oh,
It should be, we come out to these football games. We should be able to spot. Okay, that's a former Uconn
yeah.
athlete right there, special place. And we should also start walking around giving that head nod. Okay, he's got a leather jacket on. So let's
Yes.
start building that culture where we're all trying to help each other. Like some of these other great programs. I think Michigan does a great job with it. The
Yeah.
does. So why not UConn? Like
Absolutely.
we've got an amazing tradition. We're in an amazing place, and we're forward thinking. So this is the university, and this is the administration to do it.
We have such a strong alumni base. Yeah. Okay. And I will make sure I will go through everyone I have and I will pass on their information. I will contact them and I will make sure that they sign up for the C Club because they all want to help in alumni engagement and we all want to help our student athletes. But I wanted to thank you again for being with us. I've wanted to talk to you for a while. It was definitely worth the wait. You're amazing. You're hilarious, and I definitely I'm going to come out for a basketball game or a women's
Come
basketball
on, you're
game.
sitting right next to me. Let's go. I got to get you that letter jacket because that's
I want my letter jacket.
It's got to be your new staple. So we got to have it on when you come on.
I will.
So
I
we
will
gotta start getting that thing going, man. And like I said, I'm more than grateful for you having me on today.
I will.
We have an awesome group of alum, like people like yourself that
Yeah.
want to do great things for UConn, and you're doing great things. wishing you
appreciate it.
continued success. Anything I can do and we can do to support you, we're here. UConn loves you, alum loves you, and let's continue to make this podcast great, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we will for sure. So again, thank you to Procyon Partners, top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. Pete Finch and the Pete Finch Law Firm. If you've been arrested or feel your rights have been violated in a pinch, call Finch. And Bleeding Blue for Good, Mike Burton. He's done a fantastic job with the collective, raising money. We are bowl eligible, so you can see his hard work is paying off. Go to www.bleedingblueforgood.org and donate. We just need more people to donate, and we will have continued success. And again, Kevin Freeman, Uconn basketball legend, now working with the C Club, and we are thrilled to have him back. He was with several coaching staffs, the associate director of athletics and the executive director of the National C Club. Kevin, thank you again.
All right, Huskies, have a good one.
All right. So remember, this has been Husky Talk. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and throw them back at life.